the first part of solving rational equations is the same as when we're adding and subtracting. We have to get a common denominator. To do that, I want to factor my denominators. And for sake of space, I'm just going to factor the right side as x times x minus 1. When I do that, I see that two of them have an x, which means this middle one I need to multiply by x over x. And then two of them have an x minus 1, so I need to get my first one to have an x minus 1 times that x minus 1. Now, once I've done that, my denominator really doesn't matter except for my excluded values, which would be x can't equal 0 or 1. So as long as my final answer isn't a 0 or a 1, I'm good to go and that'll be my final answer. So now I'm just going to simplify the top. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2 plus 6x. Sorry, I'll do that in my other color. 6x equals Mr. 6. Okay? So 2x plus 6x is 8x minus 2 equals 6. So 8x equals 8, which means x equals 1. But what did we say x can't equal? 1. Because if I substitute 1, I'm going to get 0 in my denominator. So that means my final answer is no solution. Once again, that's because the answer I got when I was solving my equation ends up being one of the excluded values. So let's look at this next one. To help me out, I'm going to put the 3 over a 1. So I have a 1, a 2x, and an x. So let's start with the x. I have an x, which means I need to multiply my third fraction by x over x. Then my middle one has a 2, so I need to multiply my first fraction by 2 over 2, and my last fraction by 2 over 2. Once again, my denominator doesn't matter except for what it means my value can't be, which is 0. 0 is the only number that will make my denominator 0. So that would give me 2 in my numerator equals 5 plus 3 times x times 2 would be 6x. So I just have this little two-step equation. So negative 3 equals 6x. Some of you are just making an algebra error here. Divide by 6 is not going to be negative 2. It's going to be negative 1/2. Okay? And negative 1/2 is not 0, so that means my answer is valid. You could substitute an n to see if you get the right answer. All right. First we need to factor. So that would be x plus 4, x minus 1 equals x plus 2 over x plus 4, x minus 4. So let's do some comparing. They both have an x plus 4. The left has an x minus 1, so I need to multiply by an x minus 1 over x minus 1. And my right side has an x minus 4, so I need to multiply by x minus 4 over x minus 4. Now, one of the most common mistakes here was not using the box to multiply my numerator. So you either need to use the box or you need to FOIL. But in any case, you can't just do x times x and negative 4 times 3. Your answer should be x squared minus x minus 12. If you don't get that, you did it wrong. And the right side would be x squared plus x minus 2. Now some of y'all were flipping a biscuit because you have quadratics. But watch what happens. If I subtract x squared from both sides, my x squareds are going to cancel. So you were freaking out over nothing. So negative x minus 12 equals x minus 2. And I'm going to add x to the right side, so that would give me negative 12 equals 2x minus 2. Add 2 to both sides would give me negative 10 equals 2x, so x equals negative 5. And negative 5, when I look back at my original, is not going to give me a 0 in the denominator. So I am good to go. That's my final answer. And my last one. This one, some of y'all were making your life a little bit miserable. It would be less miserable if you factored. So my first fraction has a GCF of 2. My second one is a difference of squares. Hopefully we're recognizing those now. Okay, so, I mean, I could have done this without factoring and then just multiplied all that, but your problem is going to get unnecessarily complicated. So first, I see I have x plus 1, and no x plus 1. So I need to do x plus 1 in the right side. Okay, and then let's do the x minus 1. I have x minus 1, x minus 1. So this would be an x minus 1. And then the last guy I can't forget about is this 2 hanging out. So that means I need to multiply my second fraction by 2 over 2 and my last fraction by 2 over 2. Okay? So if you look in your denominator, now I all have a green, a blue, and a red. So I know that I have everything covered. So my first fraction would be x minus 1 plus 5 times 2 is 10 equals 1 isn't going to change anything. 2 times x is 2x. Whoa, where'd that come from? 2x plus 2. Once again, I'm not really paying attention to my denominator because I'm going to double check my final answer at the end. So x plus 9 equals 2x plus 2. I'm going to subtract x from both sides and then subtract 2 from both sides. So I get x equals 7. And 7 will not make my denominator 0. The only thing that would make my denominator 0 is a positive 1 or a negative 1. So I know my answer is valid. Although if I had a million years, I could go through and triple check that that actually works. So that's really all you have to do. Get a common denominator, multiply what you need to in the numerators, and simplify the numerator. That's it. Just double check that they all work.